Thanks for staying tuned with the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Now, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has requested all underperforming participating countries to submit their plans for implementation of the required compensation for the overproduced volumes to the OPEC Secretariat by the 15th of January 2021. The organization's just ended 13th ministerial meeting held virtually acknowledged the need to gradually return to 2 million barrels per day to the market, with the pace being determined by market conditions. Now, the meeting reiterated the need to continue to monitor the market fundamentals closely, including non-declaration of cooperation, supply and its impact on the global oil balance and overall market stability, in order to achieve the objective of market rebalancing and avoid undue delay in the process. It decided to hold the next Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee meeting on the 3rd of February 2021. And contrary to reports in some sections of the media on the approval for 50% increase in electricity tariff, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, says no approval has been granted to electricity distribution companies for such increase in the tariff order, which took effect from 1st of January 2021. However, in compliance with the provisions of the Electric Power Sector from Reform Act and the nation's tariff methodology for biannual minor review, the rates for service bands A, B, C, D, and E have been adjusted from 2 naira to 4 naira per kilowatts to reflect the partial impact of inflation and movement in foreign exchange rates. The Commission restates that the tariff for customers who are being served less than an average of 12 hours per day over a period of 1 month remain frozen and subsidized in line with the policy direction of the federal government. NERC reassures electricity consumers of its commitment to protecting them under the service-based tariff regime. And still on the economy, Nigerian's economy to witness appreciable growth in 2021 with the commencement of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Details of this on our Business Next.
Almost everything that comes across the border is actually agro-based. If you remember, tomato, salt, sugar, and all that, that's what comes across mostly. It's mostly foodstuffs.
With Africa becoming the leading hub of free trade area in the world, following the takeoff of the African Continental Free Trade Area, key players posit that Nigeria has the ability to unlock and unleash Africa's vast economic potential in the regional and global market through export of all the key agricultural produce.
Value chain in terms of producing, processing, and marketing. These are things that you have to put in place. And that is exactly the thing. And that is how you can now actually say you want to participate well in African Continental Free Trade Area. You can continue with your raw cocoa beans you are sending to Europe, and then you want to send it to African countries. Nobody wants that. They want processed goods.
We have established a lot of contact with shoe manufacturers in Nigeria and leather goods manufacturers generally in Lagos, in Aba, and in Kano here, that their products can be exported to South Africa, to Egypt, to a lot of countries.
Some industrialists and agricultural economists also advocate inclusion of women in the mainstream of regional and global trade, maintaining that formalizing trade across Africa cannot be achieved without the inclusion of women at all levels. And these are the closing figures of trades on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Now, some 1,354 new cases of coronavirus have been recorded in 20 states and the FCT, increasing the total number of confirmed cases to 92,705. In the breakdown of these 1,354 new infections, Lagos has 712, the FCT has 145, Plateau 117, Kwara has 81, Kaduna 54, Sokoto 39, Oyo 38, and Rivers has 37, while Gombe has 21, Enugu 20, Akwa Ibom 16, Bauchi and Delta has 14 each, Ebonyi 13, Anambra 9, Taraba and Edo confirmed 8 each. Kano has 3, Osun and Ekiti 2 each, while Ogun has 1 new case. And the FCT, Lagos, Kaduna and Plateau states are still leading in the number of cases per state chart, as active cases increased to 14,990 across the country. Number of recovered and discharged patients also increased to 76,396, while 1,319 have unfortunately died from COVID-19 complications. Now, COVID-19 infections are increasing daily in the country, especially among health workers and corps members. Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, who revealed this at Tuesday's briefing in Abuja, appealed to state government to justify COVID-19 allocations they have received by increasing testing. Mitai Rikben reports.
For the PTF, mass travels and non-challenge to COVID-19 protocols during the Yuletide are reflecting in the country's daily statistics. More worrisome is the growing infections among young Nigerians.
In continuation of the NYSC engagement, out of the 35,419 in batch B, 731 tested positive compared to 108 recorded during the batch A.
When we compare ourselves with 3 weeks ago, the number of new cases per week has tripled.
We appeal to all states to increase testing to enable us to know exactly where we are.
Severe cases as where our biggest challenge is now. How we can sustain oxygen supply to these places, and we've been working with the federal government, the private sector, and all other interested parties to make sure that we can keep the supply chain of critical healthcare needs to manage severe cases flowing.
Public health is a big issue in the country. So based on that directives, we have complied by blocking 100 passports from travel, which means even if they go to police and declare those passports missing, they cannot reissue them anywhere in the world. And they cannot cross our national borders until the period of 6 months.
Meanwhile, vaccines are due to arrive the country soon.
We expect to receive approximately 100,000 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine by the end of January. The priority will be given to frontline health workers, first responders, strategic country leadership, and those that are elderly and with comorbidities.
The PTF appeals to health professionals, the media, and opinion shapers in the country to educate Nigerians on the safety of vaccines and the need to disregard conspiracy theories. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
And the current state of health care globally has no doubt necessitated a pragmatic approach to ensure effective health care delivery in the country. These were the views of some Nigerians in Port Harcourt who assessed the performance of the sector and the way forward. Ijoma Weke reports.
The challenges of COVID-19 has unraveled some of the pre-existing constraints and weaknesses in healthcare service, despite government's efforts in the implementation of health policies. As patients experience difficulty in accessing Medicare, especially in the face of pandemic, the the need to improve health facilities, medical supplies and personnel, as well as funding, have been stressed.
The health sector last year, that is 2020, the government tried, but they did not. There are some areas and some lapses that they did not cover. Like in the area of the personnel, I think the facilities are so poor.
Personnel in public health sectors are not enough, even in private health sectors are not enough. The equipment are not there. We all know what we suffered when the pandemic broke, judging from availability of PPEs. Common basic things to work with in the hospitals are hardly there. So this is why both states and federal governments need to put in a lot of work, and they need to put in a lot of funding into the health sector.
We're even doubling our effort to make sure no stone is left unturned from our primary to secondary and tertiary facilities and encourage them. We thank God we have the political will because the governor is there supporting the health sector.
The quest to achieving a universal health coverage and closing all gaps in the health sector calls for the involvement of the private sector. As governments strive to improve the health system in the country, there are expectations that Nigerians adhere strictly to government guidelines to reduce the rising figures of coronavirus and other diseases. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
Now, Sustainable Development Goals was adopted by the United Nations in September 2015 as a holistic approach towards the implementation of socio-economic policies to end all forms of poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for everyone by 2030. Now, in its 6th year, how prepared is Nigeria in implementing the SDGs amid COVID-19? Chidebere Onya reports.
Guided by the principle of leaving no one behind, the Sustainable Development Goals consist of 17 thought-provoking goals formulated to replace the Millennium Development Goals. Interestingly, Nigeria was among the 193 United Nations member countries that signed to its implementation in 2015. Now in its 5th year, the drive towards reviewing the perceived bottlenecks that could hinder the achievement of the set goals is of top priority more than ever. Analysts believe that the prospects of Nigeria attaining the objectives outlined in the SDGs is bleak and need to be addressed urgently.
Let's look at the issue of the SDGs. Poverty, have we addressed it? Have we addressed the issue of shelter for all? Have we been able to address the issue of social injustice? All these things are just there.
Do we have a well-articulated policy to tackle the items in the SDG? If we have the well-articulated policies, how do we go about implementing them?
While the pandemic of COVID-19 may have slowed down the process of the SDGs, the call for key actors to tinker on ways for the nation to achieve meaningful development before its 2030 expiration dates resonates.
It's an eye-opener to those in the health sector that they are falling way behind the target and we need to step up.
As the target date for the achievement of the SDGs draws closer, it is becoming clear that businesses, organizations, and private bodies have a key role to play in generating and implementing solutions that will hasten the process of achieving them. In Port Harcourt, Chidebere Onya, NTA News.
And we turn our attention to the judiciary, where practitioners in the legal profession in Nigeria have been told to brace to the challenges of improving justice dispensation in the country. Retired Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, Justice Ishak Bello, made the call at a special valedictory court session to mark his retirement from the judiciary. Femi Okewo has the story.
Series of events lined up to celebrate Justice Ishak Bello as a judicial officer and Chief Judge of the FCT were cancelled due to the COVID-19 situation in the country. But the formal exit through the valedictory court session went on with professional colleagues, including the Chief Justice of Nigeria and traditional representatives, assembling to show respect to the positive changes which had been instituted in the last 5.5 years of Justice Ishak Bello being the Chief Judge of the FCT High Court. It was therefore a forum to call on the legal profession in Nigeria to re-engineer justice dispensation in the country in view of the experiences of the past.
No one is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. I came to appreciate these early as various people have been part of the story of my life.
Justice Ishaq Bello's tenure as Chief Judge of the FCT, even though just for about 5 years, some say would mark the end of an era in the court. They say the activities that impacted on the improvement of dispensation of justice, not just in the FCT but in Nigeria generally, were so many. From the FCT High Court, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24, live from Abuja. We'll take a break now. There'll be more reports after this break.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.